Hello, everyone. I'm excited to do this. I'm going to call this Tuesday Talk with Hannah. So, I'm Hannah from Heartfelt Wellbeing. And those of you that are new here, welcome. I'm excited to get to know you more through yoga and Ayurveda. And on Tuesdays at 12:30, I do these lives. Sometimes they're interviews with other people, sometimes they're question and answer sessions, sometimes they're laser coaching, and sometimes they're just me talking, which usually pertains to questions that I've been getting from either clients that I'm working with in my paid programs or folks that are in this group that are sending me questions. So today I wanted to really hone in on Vata season and the experiences that you may be having. So I've been hearing from a lot of folks, mostly in my programs, the Vitality Circle and Evolve and Deeper Dive, about their experiences right now and finding that a lot of people feel like something's wrong with them when they're simply just experiencing a little Vata imbalance that comes with the season. And as we live Ayurvedically, you'll begin to see how each season has an effect on you. And when you understand how each season may affect you, you can begin to recognize when you are getting off balance, but you can also do some preventative preliminary things to help make sure that you're not going to be negatively affected by the season, only positively affected, because there's both negative and positive elements. So, Nikki says, I never miss an opportunity to listen to Hannah's teachings. Nikki, you're such a great student. You show up for everything. It's wonderful. Yes, learn it all. That's what I'm here for. I want to learn and teach and empower and support all of us to live our best lives. So thanks for being here, those of you that are here live, and feel free to type in the chat if you are here with me live, and let me know how this is resonating with you or any questions that you have. So when we're in each season, we're affected by the elements that are predominant in that season. So for Vata season, it's the elements of air and space, or what is often called ether. So how do those affect us? That can seem like neither here nor there. Like, what does it mean to have predominant elements in a season? What it means is that the qualities of those elements are going to be predominant in the environment, which means they're also going to be predominant in us. So the qualities of Vata, or what are sometimes called gunas, which translates as qualities, are cold, dry, light, mobile, subtle, and rough. Cold, dry, light, mobile, subtle, and rough. That's what's happening in the environment. It's getting cold, it's getting dry. There's a subtle quality that's like we're not quite as grounded. That also ties into the mobile quality of like the wind. Things are getting tossed around. You may feel like things are reorganizing in your life, how you understand things, your friendships, your food preferences, things like that. And then rough is what comes in when there's so much cold and dryness. So we may have that show up in our bodies, in our minds, but we see it in the environment too. It's not always comfortable. It can be kind of rough. So we see these things in the environment around us, and our job is to notice how they're showing up in us and to balance with the wisdom of opposites. So before we get to that, oh, good. Mary Ellen says, yes, sessions like this provide concentrated, important nuggets of information. Excellent. Yes. And these are also sessions that you can come back to over and over again and watch. So let's look at some ways that Vata might be showing up in your life and you might not necessarily realize it. So here are some things that I've been hearing from the ladies in my programs. they've been feeling cold, like they get cold and they can't get warm again, or cold hands and feet are showing up. They may be having trouble sleeping, either falling asleep or particularly staying asleep, like waking up in the early morning hours between 2 and 6 a.m. and not being able to get back to sleep. They may be experiencing a lot of anxiety or overwhelm, feeling like there's too many things going on or too many people needing things from them, or too many decisions that need to be made. So these are ways in which we might be experiencing Vata. We might also feel Vata in dryness in the body. We might notice we're having dry skin or dry nasal passages or dry eyes. We might also be noticing a little more constipation or a little backup in our elimination or digestion. We might be craving foods that aggravate these qualities of Vata, things that add more dryness and lightness to our systems, things like chips and crackers or raw vegetables. These are not helpful to eat, or things like seltzer water or bubbly tonics, things like that, where we're putting air actually directly into our system. These things are not helpful for us when we are in Vata season. So in our bodies, we can calm Vata by doing a bunch of different things. In terms of food, we can eat foods that are grounding and a little more heavy and moist. So we want to, that's the wisdom of opposites I mentioned before. So that dry, light, cold, mobile, subtle, and rough gets balanced when we have warm, heavy, unctuous foods coming into our bodies. So, depending on your constitution, if you are more Vata predominant or you have more Vata imbalance, you are going to be more affected by Vata season and needing to do more Vata pacification. If you are more Pitta or Kapha predominant, you may not be as affected, but you still might be. And it's good to tune in to how you can balance. So, what are some foods that are heavy, unctuous, meaning oily, and moistening, and warm? These foods would include foods made from root vegetables, winter squashes, grain, and um, and then cooked fruits as well. So, well, everything that I just mentioned would be cooked. So this is a great time of year for soups and stews, but sometimes soups especially aren't enough. They're too light, even if they're warm, they might not be hearty enough. And so we might need to have something like a baked sweet potato or some grain added to our soup, like a wild rice or something like that. Or we might find that we really like having something like a stir fry or dal, like a lentil um, mix that's put over rice, something like that, that's a little more heavy. If you do eat animal protein, I recommend having that in the middle of the day, but that you might need a little more hearty food, especially if you're feeling really cold, really scattered. All of these things can be a challenge for us if we're not having enough grounding from our food. Now, this isn't permission to go eat like a huge steak and potatoes. We use meat, animal protein, in Ayurveda in small portions, more like a condiment than a main course, and just a little bit. It's very potent medicine. And so a little bit added into a meal, maybe a little chicken in a stir fry, a little beef in a stew, um, some fish with some vegetables and rice. Those those are great things, but not like a big hunk of meat, because what that does is it takes too much of your digestive energy, and then you're cold. Okay, because all your body energy is going to digest your food. So we want easy to digest foods, and that will calm the whole body. What we're really looking at here is that Vata imbalance is a challenge to the nervous system. So we really want to nourish our sense organs. So our sense organs are our eyes, our ears, our nose, our mouth, and our skin. And the two sense organs that are most connected to the elements of air and space are hearing and touch. So these are the senses that we really want to pay attention to during Vata season. What can we do for our skin? It's getting dry. We can oil it. So we put oil on our skin daily if possible, giving ourselves a full body oil massage. And I recommend sesame oil if you're looking for a place to start. Banyan Botanicals. I can post my affiliate link for Banyan with this video. And you can look at their different body oils. They have wonderful oils that you can use. The daily, actually, I have this sitting on my desk, the daily massage oil from Banyan. And this is a great place to start if you don't know what other oils to use. But we want to oil the skin. Oiling the skin creates moisture in the skin if it's dry, but it also feeds our skin microbiome, which is really, really important. We think a lot about the microbiome, or I hope you think a lot about the microbiome in the gut. That's the internal skin. And we have external skin that's holding our body together here, holding everything in. And the microbiome on the external skin is equally important. Oiling the skin, it feeds the microbiome, the little bugs that live in our skin and on our skin, and keeps it really healthy and happy. What does this do? It allows us to be able to reject things like viruses or contaminants coming in through our skin. This is where things get a little tricky with so much everything being sterilized, and using lots of like antibacterial soaps and disinfectant cleaners and things like that. Yes, it's good to use those on your hands when you've been in uncertain situations and things like that. But as soon as you can, oil your hands and make sure your skin is getting oiled so that your microbiome of your skin is really happy and healthy, so that you are happy and healthy and hydrated. So our skin gets to be really nourished. And also when we massage our skin, we move lymph in our body, which is really helpful again for clearing out any toxins, dissipating stagnation, things like that. So our ears are the other sense that we want to really tune into. Oh, wait, let me go back to the skin. So with the skin, I want you to notice, is your skin uncomfortable? Are you dressing warm enough? Are you getting nourishing touch, either from yourself or going and getting a massage or hugs with your family? Whatever nourishes your skin with that sense of touch, you really want to think about, we have research that shows that 7 hugs a day help us stay healthy. This is part of the reality of connection and the sense of touch. So making sure that you're attending to, we want to wear scarves when we're outside. We want to cover our ears, so that we're not getting too much wind and dry air moving against our exposed skin. So now let's move to the ears. The ears are our sense of, house our sense of hearing. And again, we're dealing with the qualities of dry, light, cold, mobile, subtle, and rough. The ears need to have some attention on them this time of year. So Oil is a great thing to do in the ears. You can just put a little bit on your pinkies, rub them together, and then put them in your ears just for a little daily soothing. Again, this is very helpful for health and immunity. And um, if you have more of a Vata issue that is like tinnitus or really itchy ears, ear infections, or a history of ear infections, you don't want to do what I'm about to say if you have an ear infection. You want to oil your ears more in a more focused way, which means laying on your side, filling the ear canal with warm sesame oil and letting it just soak in for about 20 minutes laying, and then roll over. You can put a bunch of paper towels or an old towel underneath you and just let the oil drain out. And you can just clear out the oil from the outside of the ear gently, but let the oil inside your ear stay in there, and then do the other side, filling up the canal and resting for about 10 minutes. Sorry, 20 minutes. This can be really calming for the nervous system, helpful for sleep, and also really, really helpful for healing any damage that has been done to the cilia in the little hairs in the ear, and also the eardrum. So that's a nice thing that you can do there for calming Vata. We also want to make sure the nose is lubricated. So Nassia oil, again, rubbing pinkies together with a little oil. You can buy Nassia oil, or you can just use some of your sesame oil and put that up your nose and then massage it around every day. Really great things to do to support immunity, calm Vata, and relieve dryness. All right. So we've got our sense organs taken care of, that pertain to Vata, especially. Um, we're eating grounding foods. So if you feel like you've been more anxious, you might want to have like a meal of like a big sweet potato with some almond butter. That was really helpful for one of the Vitality Circle members last week. She's just like, oh my gosh, that made such a difference to me. Also, adding more beneficial fat into your diet is very helpful. And of course, Ayurveda's favorite beneficial fat is ghee. So that's clarified butter. And I'm actually teaching a workshop on making your own ghee on Thursday, the 19th. It's the full moon. That's the best time to make ghee each month, is on the full moon. So November 19th, I'm doing a full moon ghee workshop. And if you're interested in that, you can sign up for that and learn a lot more about ghee and make it with me in your own kitchen alongside me. But adding some beneficial fat in helps your nutrients go deeper into your tissues. And um, ghee is warming, it's healing to the gut, and it's very calming. So go ghee. You want to get some of that in your diet. In terms of your body, you want to make sure that you're not doing too much vigorous, agitating exercise. So a lot of like jumping around or really fast paced, or where you're changing direction a lot. There's enough of that in the environment already. So you might have been checking out my yoga practices that I've been doing lately in this group. They've been very grounding. We've been tuning in to the earth, energy moving down. We've been laying on our bellies and really connecting the belly to the earth, breathing into the earth, really feeling that connection. When we get cold, and especially if we have a lot of Vata in us, we tend to tense up and we hold our bellies in, we hunch forward, our shoulders get tight, they come up towards our ears, and we're holding so much tension in our bodies. And this is something that is very typical for a Vata constitution in general, is holding tension in the body. So this is a great time of year to make sure you're staying warm, that your body can relax in whatever environment you're in, and that you're also relaxing your belly. So a great practice to do before eating, certainly, so that your system is relaxed to receive your nutrition. But anytime during the day, in addition to that, is to place your hands on your belly and feel your belly relax into your hands so you can fully diaphragmatically breathe. So you inhale and feel your belly press into your hands. Belly expands, and then exhale, feel the belly pull in. This is how babies breathe. And this is really calming and nourishing to us as well. If you're having trouble falling asleep or staying asleep, one thing you can do is to put something heavy on top of you when you're sleeping. Some people like weighted blankets. One thing that I do is I sleep with a body pillow on top of me. So I lay down in my bed, put the body pillow down the front of me, starting below my chin, of course, and then put the covers over that. So I have this body pillow pressing down into me. Now, I personally, as a Vata predominant person, used to be a stomach sleeper. To have that, it's very relaxing and calming to have something pressing against the front of the body. It's like our sensitive belly doesn't want to be exposed. And so I used to be a stomach sleeper, and I ended up with all sorts of neck issues. I used to have to go to the chiropractor all the time because my neck would go out while I was sleeping on my belly because my head was cranked to one side or the other. So my chiropractor said, you have to train yourself to sleep on your back. And I was like, how am I going to do that? It just feels, it doesn't feel good. Like I can't relax. And then through Ayurveda, I learned, oh my gosh, I just need a little bit of warmth and weight on top of me so that my system can relax, my belly can soften. So that might be something that you want to try. One of the members of the Vitality Circle last week, after having a conversation with me about this, she said she had been waking up in the morning on her belly and that she wasn't typically a belly sleeper, but that she tried this and it really helped her not end up on her belly. So tuning into, is your belly relaxed? Can you do some belly breathing? Do you need a little bit of calming weight on the belly when you're at times of relaxation in your day? So feel free to type in questions, those of you that are here live, or any anecdotes that you want to share as well. I do want to share that, this is a great time for self-reflection and to say like, oh, have I been dealing with any sort of anxiety? Like, did things feel a little more serious or overwhelming or challenging right now? Oh, that might be Vata. Or, am I feeling a little constipated or like dry? The other thing that can show up in our heads is what seems like a cold or allergies, but it's often our mucosal response to dryness. So when there's too much dryness in the sinuses and the nasal passages, sometimes our body will produce mucus to try to counteract that. And so if we can help moisten our nasal passages and our sinuses, we can not be dealing with congestion. And sometimes that looks like waking up in the morning feeling really congested, especially if you have like a wood stove or dry heat going in your household now that it's cold. So Mary Ellen says, how long after meals should it be done? Oh, oil massage. I have read it shouldn't be done right after meals. That's true. Oil massage should not be done right after meals. So ideally, it's done in the morning or in the evening, so away from having just eaten. So either early in the morning or in the evening, when the body can really receive that touch and process through the lymph that's moving in the body. That's true. And another thing to keep in mind with oil massage is that it shouldn't be done when you are menstruating. For those of us that are still having menstrual cycles, when you're actually bleeding, oil massage should not be done because your body is already detoxifying and the oil kind of holds everything in. And so it's really, oil massage is detoxifying in its own right, but when you're bleeding, it's like your body's letting go, and often letting go of some heat as well. And we want to just let that dissipate without kind of sealing everything in. So those are some good, yes, good guidelines um, for oil massage. Great question. Um, so I also wanted to touch on some herbs that can be helpful. And again, I'm not prescribing these. I'm just saying, explore this if you're interested in herbs. Um, so any kind of calming herbs can be nice in terms of like Western herbalism. We can look at chamomile, passion flower, um, things that are just kind of calming to the nervous system. You might get celestial seasonings, tension tamer tea, and drink that in the evening, or sleepy time tea. So those types of herbs can be really helpful. And in terms of Ayurvedic herbs, herbs that can be supportive, another thing that you might experience this time of year would be like seasonal blues or seasonal affective disorder, which is sometimes called SAD, seasonal affective disorder. And that comes often from the system being overwhelmed and then kind of shutting down. We go from a rajasic state where we're kind of wound up going in lots of different directions, this more Vata ping-ponging around, and then we go into more of a tamasic, heavier, dull state um, in response to that. So we kind of shut down. So if we don't follow through on that rajasic into tamasic energy, we can stay in a more sattvic or clear place through supporting ourselves with our our habits, our daily routines, and some herbs. So if we look at Ayurvedic herbs, we want to look at um, ashwagandha is one of the best herbs that you can use. Overall, it's an adaptogen. It's really supportive of kind of like fixing whatever's out of balance, but it's the best Vata calming herb and is very helpful for sleep, for anxiety, um, and for dryness that's overall in the body. So ashwagandha is great. Another herb is kapikachu, um, which is a bean that is it's very heavy and unctuous. You buy it in a powder form, or I guess you can get tablets or tincture as well. But it is very calming, especially to the mental vata, um, ungrounded feeling. So kapikachu. And then the last one I want to mention is dashamula. And dash means 10, mula means root. You might know Muladhara chakra or Mula Bandha, that's your root, right? So dashamula means 10 roots, and these are 10 roots of 10 plants that are mixed together. You can get it as a powder, or actually just the roots that are, it's like shredded roots. I get that and make it in my infusions that I have. And these 10 roots, you can imagine, they're roots. So they're very grounding. We take the wisdom from the plant, right? The plant has roots, and those roots are a grounding energetic. So Dashamula is very grounding and calming for Vata. All of these can be found at Banyan Botanicals too. This is not an advertisement for them. They have really great Ayurvedic products. So the last thing I want to say in grounding Vata and being really attuned to what we each need is to being really mindful of what is in your schedule, what you're taking on. This is a time of year to do less. Do less. So taking on less projects, less responsibilities, less saying yes to everything everybody wants from you, and really honing in on what feels like a great flow of your schedule, your day, your workload for you. Recognizing this isn't judgment of what is true the rest of the year. This is the time to slow down or you get depleted. Okay. It's the time to have really set routines When are you going to sleep? When are you waking up? When are you eating your meals? Letting that chaotic Vata energy that's just getting tossed around in the air have a structure that it can relax back into. Okay, kind of like the screen behind me. This is a web, right? If it wasn't there, it would just be open space, but there's a structure there to lean back into, to support you, to create boundaries of when things are happening. The body loves structure. The body loves schedules. Knowing that things are happening at a certain time is very helpful. And this allows the nervous system to relax. So now we're back to nourishing the nervous system. So my question for each of you watching, and if you're watching the replay, type in hashtag replay. Love to hear from you. My question for you is, what is your takeaway from this? What are you going to implement to help make this autumn and early winter your healthiest and happiest autumn and early winter? So happy Vata calming, friends. I hope to see you all at the GI workshop on the 19th. And I look forward to hearing about your experiences in balancing and calming Vata as you become more and more aware of it this season. Cheers to your health and happiness. We'll see you soon.